Have you ever noticed how the harder you try to manifest something, the further it seems to drift away? You sit down with your journal, you write your desires with conviction, you visualize the outcome, you repeat affirmations like mantras, believing you're aligning your vibration, and still nothing. Or worse, the opposite shows up, as if the universe is echoing resistance, not resonance. They told you to think positively, to feel as if it already happened, to stay in high vibration. And so you push, you try harder, you obsess over your thoughts, over your energy, over your vision board, because somewhere deep down, you believe that the more effort you make, the closer it gets. But what if that belief itself is the block? Because the real barrier isn't in your mind, it's in your body. A dysregulated nervous system doesn't create, it protects. It doesn't attract, it defends. And no matter how beautiful your thoughts are, if your system is in stress, you are unconsciously vibrating survival. Think of it like this: your nervous system is the circuit breaker of your reality. If it's overloaded with pressure, past trauma, and daily microstress, the current won't flow. The light might be on in your mind, but your energetic field stays dim. The signal you're sending out becomes scattered, fragmented, full of static, and science backs this. Joe Dispenza teaches that stress chemicals like cortisol and adrenaline short-circuit your ability to create. When you're in survival, the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for vision, intention, and possibility, goes offline. Bruce Lipton shows us that fear literally closes the receptors of your cells, cutting them off from higher frequencies. You can't receive what you're not open to. So even if you meditate daily, even if you write your intentions religiously, even if your vision board is perfectly curated, if your body doesn't feel safe, nothing sticks. The field responds not to your words, but to your frequency. And frequency is not thought, it's felt. This is why so many people say, "I'm doing everything right," but nothing's happening. Because they're trying to manifest from a body that's bracing, not trusting. From a system that's in fight or flight, not flow. From a space of energetic urgency, not inner coherence. And here lies the key. You don't need more effort, you need nervous system safety. Because safety is the foundation of manifestation. Only when your system feels grounded can your energy expand. Only when your body feels safe can your field align. Only when you're present can the quantum respond. In this video, you're going to learn one practice, simple, accessible, and incredibly powerful, that resets your nervous system and immediately reopens your channel for manifestation. Not tomorrow, not someday, but now. And if you've felt that something inside you is asking for this, if your body is craving stillness and your soul is done forcing, then stay. This moment is not accidental, it's an opening. If this message is stirring something inside you, don't ignore it. Subscribe to the channel right now and come with me. Let's walk through this shift together. Don't let this moment dissolve into background noise again. Let it be the signal your nervous system has been waiting for. Now we're going to go even deeper into the unseen sabotage. How chronic stress secretly hijacks your vibration and blocks the flow of everything you've been trying to call in. Stay close. What you'll hear next might change the way you approach manifestation for the rest of your life. The silent saboteur, how stress blocks manifestation. You might be doing everything right, journaling, visualizing, saying your affirmations, but something invisible keeps short-circuiting your progress. It's not your mindset, it's not your willpower, it's your nervous system. When your body is in survival mode, your frequency is chaos. And chaos doesn't magnetize. It defends. It prepares. It waits for a threat. Let me explain. Chronic stress creates frequency incoherence. It fragments your field. Even if your mind is focused on abundance, your body is still bracing for impact. And energy doesn't lie. You can't fake alignment when your cells are screaming for safety. In fight or flight, your brain doesn't care about creation. It cares about protection. Your creative centers shut down. Dopamine drops. Your heart rhythm becomes erratic. The field you project becomes irregular, unreadable, not just to others, but to the quantum itself. Pause for a moment. What are you feeling in your body right now? Is there a tightness, a shallow breath, a subtle resistance? You've seen it before. You just didn't know how to read it. Energy flows where safety lives. When your system feels threatened, even subtly, your vibration contracts. You start chasing outcomes, micromanaging the process, doubting your timing. And that frequency says to the field, I'm not ready yet. Here's the deeper pattern. The nervous system becomes addicted to urgency. It feeds off cortisol highs and adrenaline spikes. It starts expecting the next thing to go wrong. And manifestation can't land in a system that only knows how to brace. Let me give you a symbol. Imagine trying to water a garden with a hose, but the hose is bent and knotted. The water's there, the pressure's there, but nothing flows. That's what stress does to your energy. It kinks the line between you and the field. Manifestation doesn't respond to intensity, it responds to coherence. And coherence begins with nervous system regulation, not more mental effort. So if you've been feeling like something is always off, like your energy doesn't match your intentions, this might be why. And you're not broken, you're just dysregulated. And now, take a second. Anchor this shift. If there's one word that captures what you're feeling right now, what would it be? Maybe it's calm, maybe it's realignment, maybe it's readiness. Write it in the comments. That's how we open the field together. That's how we solidify the shift. We're going to break this down even further, showing how alignment isn't just a state of mind, but a biological state of being. What you'll discover next might forever shift how you define vibrational alignment. Let's continue. Why alignment is a nervous system function, not just a mindset. Most people think alignment is about thoughts. Think the right thing, feel the right thing, focus on the right thing, and things will manifest. But alignment isn't just mental. It's biological. It's electromagnetic. It's the frequency of a body that feels safe enough to receive. Let's go even deeper. Bruce Lipton once said, "The function of the mind is to create coherence between beliefs and reality." But 95% of your beliefs aren't conscious. They're stored in the body, in your fascia, in your breath, in your muscle memory. That means alignment isn't what you think, it's what you embody. And embodiment begins with nervous system regulation. Here's the process. When your body feels safe, your heart rhythm stabilizes. That sends coherent signals to your brain. Your brain synchronizes with your heart, and that inner harmony becomes a magnetic signal that informs the field. It's a feedback loop of safety, resonance, and attraction. You don't need to force thoughts when your frequency is aligned, but when the nervous system is dysregulated, even positive thoughts feel hollow. They can't land. The body is out of sync with the mind. The result? Incoherence. And incoherence confuses the field. It delays, it distorts, it blocks. You've probably felt this before. You say all the right things. You think you're doing the work, but deep inside, there's still resistance. Still tension, still that unspoken fear that it might not happen. And that feeling, not your intention, is what gets broadcast. Let me offer you this. Next time you try to align, pause. Don't just ask, what am I thinking? Ask, what is my body believing right now? Because that belief, that somatic truth, is your real point of attraction. Now, Imagine what becomes possible when your nervous system is calm, grounded, and open. When your body no longer feels like it's under attack. When your cells are no longer bracing, but welcoming. That's not mindset, that's alignment. Let's go even deeper. We'll move from understanding to integration. I'll share with you a simple yet powerful 3-minute ritual that resets your nervous system and immediately brings your field into coherence. Stay with me. This next part could become the practice that changes everything. The 3-minute reset ritual that changes your frequency. So how do you begin to reset a system that's been trained for years, sometimes decades, to brace, to hold, to wait for the next wave of pressure? How do you shift from tension to trust? Not just in your mind, but in your body, where the frequency truly lives. It starts not with thinking differently, but with feeling safely. This isn't about complicated routines or spiritual performances. It's about 3 minutes of intention, repeated consistently with presence, that change your electromagnetic field from survival to receptivity. This practice is not a hack, it's a signal. It tells your nervous system, you can rest now, we're safe, you can open again. Let's begin with breath, not the shallow, unconscious breath of autopilot, but the kind that speaks directly to the vagus nerve. Inhale gently through your nose, expanding your belly, then exhale slowly through your mouth, longer than the inhale. This simple shift activates the parasympathetic branch of your nervous system, the one responsible for healing, rest, and connection. The longer exhale is a cue of safety. It tells the body there is no threat, and when your body feels safe, your frequency returns to coherence. Then, introduce vibration, humming, chanting, or even a long, audible sigh. These aren't just sounds, they're frequency releases. They stimulate the vagus nerve directly, toning your internal rhythm like tuning a string. Ancient traditions knew this. That's why mantras, songs, and sacred sounds are central in spiritual practice. But this isn't about the words. It's about the vibration. Now place your hand on your chest, lightly, gently. This isn't symbolic, it's biological. Touch releases oxytocin. It signals connection. It calms the amygdala, the fear center of your brain. And as you hold that space, whisper one phrase, not a goal, not a desire, just a state. I am safe now. Not because everything is perfect, but because presence is the new safety. And presence doesn't wait for the outside world to align. It becomes the alignment. These 3 minutes, breath, vibration, and presence, may seem simple, but they are deeply intelligent. Done consistently, they teach your nervous system a new rhythm. They become a ritual of return. And the more you return, the more your baseline changes. You stop reacting to life and start creating from it. You've seen rituals romanticized, spiritualized, even commodified. But this one brings you back to the core. Your energy is shaped by your regulation, not by what you want, but by what your body believes is safe to receive. And every time you pause, breathe, and reconnect, you're not escaping reality. You're shaping it. So as we move forward, I'll show you what happens when we skip this step, when we bypass the body in the name of spiritual progress, and how that innocent mistake can delay everything we're trying to manifest. What comes next is an honest mirror and a turning point. The danger of skipping the body in spiritual practice. There's a growing misconception in the spiritual space that if you just shift your thoughts or raise your frequency through mindset alone, the body will follow. That if you stay high vibe, you can bypass the density, the resistance, the discomfort. But what's often missed is this: bypassing the body doesn't elevate you, it fragments you. Your body is not a barrier to your spiritual path, it is the path. When we escape into spiritual language, rituals or theories without grounding in somatic presence, we unknowingly create a split. The mind floats upward, the energy becomes top-heavy, and the body is left behind, tight, frozen, unseen. That disconnection becomes incoherence. And incoherence is not magnetism, it is confusion, it is delay, it is static in your signal. You might feel like you're doing everything right, meditating, visualizing, learning about frequencies and timelines. But if you don't feel rooted in your own skin, if your breath is shallow while your mind is high, the signal becomes mixed. The universe reads your vibration, not your vocabulary. And when your body doesn't believe what your words are saying, the field reflects the body. This isn't a judgment, it's a wake-up. And it comes with compassion, because many of us were taught to disconnect from the body through trauma, through performance, through trying to be good enough in a system that rewards the mind and suppresses emotion. So we carry spiritual ambition in bodies that have never truly exhaled. And then we wonder why things feel off, why we're exhausted, why nothing lands. But here's the truth you might need to hear. Your body doesn't need to be fixed. It needs to be heard. When you slow down, when you breathe, when you feel, you're not regressing, you're remembering, returning to the place where all creation begins. Embodiment. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you embody. And embodiment is a full body yes, not just a mental decision, but a regulated signal that says, I'm ready now. So take a breath. Feel your feet. Feel your chest. Feel your presence. If you've made it to this part of the journey, I want to pause and thank you. Thank you for staying. Thank you for feeling. Thank you for allowing these truths to land in your system, even if they stir something raw. That means it's real, and I'd love to invite you to share your presence with us. In the comments, tell us, have you ever felt this gap between the spiritual mind and the disconnected body? Has that disconnection shaped your path, delayed your vision, or taught you something unexpected? Your story might reflect someone else's healing. And we're listening. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, join this community, not just to watch more, but to walk with others on this path. Because we're not done. There's more, and we're continuing together. Next, we'll bridge the ancient with the modern, revealing how wisdom from thousands of years ago already knew what neuroscience is only now catching up to. Your nervous system isn't just biology. It's a portal, and what you'll see might shift your entire perception of spiritual practice and energetic influence. Ancient wisdom meets modern science, the forgotten portal. Long before brain scans and nervous system maps, ancient traditions already understood something that modern science is only beginning to articulate. Your body, and more specifically your nervous system, is a spiritual interface. A living bridge between the physical and the energetic, the personal and the universal. And what we now call regulation, they called ritual. What we call coherence, they called harmony with the divine. Across cultures and eras, from Taoist breathwork to yogic kriyas, from shamanic drumming to indigenous chanting, there's a common thread. Movement, sound, rhythm, and breath were not accessories to spiritual practice. They were the practice, because they changed your state, they tuned your frequency, they prepared the vessel, and today neuroscience is proving them right. When you hum, chant, or breathe slowly, you stimulate the vagus nerve, the longest cranial nerve in the body, the one responsible for switching you out of fight or flight and into rest, digest, and connect. This is not a coincidence. It's the same nerve that gets activated during deep states of prayer, chanting, or meditation. Ancient temples knew how to vibrate the body into receptivity. And now, science calls it polyvagal theory. But what if the most powerful truth was hiding where you never thought to look? You've likely encountered these rituals before. Yoga flows, breath circles, mantras, even cold plunges. But when we separate them from their original intention, not just to perform, but to prepare, we lose the portal. Because these weren't tricks to escape the body. They were practices to enter the body fully, with reverence, and activate its intelligence. Your nervous system isn't just a physical structure. It's a frequency translator. It picks up cues from your environment, and more importantly, it transmits cues back to the universe. Every time your system relaxes, you're sending out a signal of readiness, not just, "I want this," but "I'm now aligned with this." And that subtle shift in tone changes timelines. In modern life, it's easy to forget this. We rush through practices, optimize our morning routines, check spiritual boxes while still moving with the speed of anxiety. But wisdom isn't speed, it's rhythm. And every sacred tradition understood the rhythm of breath, the tempo of stillness, the pulse of presence. So let's bring it all back. Not to mimic the past, but to remember what's universal. That you are not a machine to be programmed. You are an instrument to be tuned, and your nervous system is the key to that tuning. It doesn't need to be overdriven. It needs to be listened to, slowly, gently, consistently. Now let's explore what happens when that tuning finally takes root, when your nervous system isn't just regulated, but consistently aligned. When manifestation stops being something you try to do and starts becoming something you naturally allow. I'll show you how reality begins to respond the moment your field stabilizes, and how one internal shift can echo outward into every corner of your life. When you reset, reality responds instantly. Sometimes the change feels so small, so quiet you barely notice it. A breath, a pause, a gentle return to presence. But in that moment, when your system shifts from contraction to openness, from urgency to trust, reality listens, and it listens fast. One internal signal and one deep exhale can ripple out into your field like a tuning fork. It reorganizes your frequency. It harmonizes your intention with your embodiment. And that harmony is what makes the field move. Not the force of your desire, but the coherence of your energy. Let me give you a picture. Imagine someone running around frantically trying to find their keys, panicked, anxious, looking everywhere. But the moment they stop, breathe, let go, and open the drawer they forgot they had, there they are. The keys didn't just appear, the clarity to find them did. And this is how the universe often works. It's not hiding what you want. It's waiting for you to calm down enough to see it. This is not just philosophy, it's pattern. How many times have you released something, or truly let it go, and then suddenly it came, not out of nowhere, but from alignment? Because alignment isn't stillness as in doing nothing, it's stillness as in being ready. Here's the truth most people miss. Manifestation is not delayed by the universe, it's delayed by dissonance. When your nervous system is sending out a frequency of stress, fear, or grasping, the universe reads that as not yet. But when you reset, when your energy softens, stabilizes, and centers, life organizes around that signal, fast. That's why some people seem to manifest instantly. It's not luck, it's coherence. Their field isn't clearer because they're better. It's clearer because it's calmer. And no, you don't need to be perfectly regulated all the time. This isn't about perfection, it's about return. The ability to come back to center more quickly. To notice the moment you slip into stress, and instead of spiraling, you reset, over and over again, until reset becomes your baseline. You felt this, that moment when something clicks, when the thing you've been chasing finally lands, when your body exhales, not because it gave up, but because it gave in, to trust. That's the moment manifestation becomes natural. So what if, from now on, you made that return your practice? What if your job wasn't to control every outcome, but to maintain the frequency that invites them? What if your nervous system, not your hustle, not your affirmations, became your primary manifesting tool? We're almost there. I'll take you into the deeper rhythm of integration. Not just a one-time shift, but the lifestyle of nervous system coherence. How to live, breathe, and anchor this new frequency over and over again until it becomes who you are. Living the frequency. Integrating coherence into daily life. It's one thing to have a moment of clarity, a breath, a reset, a felt sense of, yes, this is it. But the true shift happens when that moment becomes a rhythm, when nervous system coherence is no longer a tool you visit in moments of stress, but a home you return to daily. Integration doesn't mean you never dysregulate again. It means you notice the dissonance faster. You move from reactivity to awareness more fluidly. You stop needing the world to be calm before you can be. Instead, your calm starts to shape the world around you. Let's be honest, life keeps moving. The emails arrive, the bills come, the uncertainties don't vanish. But now you move differently. You breathe before you respond. You soften your belly when you feel yourself rushing. You pause mid-thought and ask, what is my frequency right now? And just like that, you return. This is the invisible discipline of coherence. It's not flashy, it's not loud, but it's magnetic, because people feel it, opportunities feel it, energy aligns with it, not because you forced it, but because you became it. Let me give you an everyday example. You're sitting in traffic. The old version of you might have clenched your jaw, gripped the wheel, spiraled into frustration. But the integrated version breathes deeper, maybe even smiles, not because traffic is spiritual, but because you've trained your system to stay open when it wants to close. That's mastery, that's manifestation in motion. Or maybe you're having a conversation and someone says something that normally would trigger defense. But now, instead of reacting, you feel your feet, you relax your shoulders, you stay. That pause, that space between stimulus and response, is where creation begins. Not control, but presence. This is the path of energetic maturity, where your nervous system becomes your compass, not to escape the world, but to move through it differently, with clarity, with coherence, with quiet power. You stop asking, why isn't it happening yet? And start asking, what signal am I truly sending? Because that signal, that field, is what the universe listens to. And here's the secret. Integration is less about remembering the practice and more about remembering yourself. The you that existed before the noise. The you that trusted without proof. The you that knew how to breathe and be and magnetize effortlessly, not through doing more, but by being more present. So as we arrive at the final stretch, we'll anchor this in one final frequency, a closing reminder that this isn't about becoming someone new. It's about removing the static, so the truth of who you are, coherent, magnetic, receptive, can finally be heard, felt, and seen. Let's bring it all home. Your body was always the key. In the end, it's never been about adding more effort, more control, more force. It's been about remembering that your body holds the wisdom, the gateway, the signal. Your nervous system isn't just reacting to life. It's broadcasting a field that shapes life. And every time you breathe with intention, every time you soften instead of brace, every time you return instead of escape, you recalibrate that field. You retune the signal. You become the version of you that no longer chases, but invites. Because your manifestations aren't waiting on more trying. They're waiting on more trust. Not blind faith, but embodied presence. Not performance, but permission. So let this be that permission. To live differently, to listen differently, to manifest not from a mind in overdrive, but from a body in harmony. Thank you, truly, for being here, for your energy, for your presence, for walking this path with me. You made it to this moment, and that's no small thing. It means something clicked, something shifted, something inside you remembered. If this message moved you, even subtly, let us know in the comments. Say hello. Tell us how this landed in your body. Share a reflection. Let this be a space where real energy meets. And if this resonates, if this feels like home, subscribe. Join the community. Echoes of the Path is more than a channel. It's a space to return, to realign, to grow together. There's more waiting for you here. And before you go, keep this close. Your energy is a language, and the universe listens. Breathe that in, feel it, and now, go live it.